Hi, everyone. I'm so honored to be again with you. I'm very happy to be here with you. As you know, I'm a board member of the Spiritual Society Movement, Global Spiritual Society Movement, and ambassador of peace and creator of the Pranic Festival in India and Pranic Festival in Romania, and therapist, as Nima has presented me. I'm very honored to participate to this gathering, especially in these great times of transformations for each one of us, and to present my colleague and longtime friend Elitom El-Amin here with us. My journey has been that I've discovered meditation ever since I was a child. I was meditating in a clear crystal. I was very happy to discover more new things about the unlimited possibilities, the paranormal, what we call, abilities of the human species. And I stick with that, discovering new things until I was 19. And then I followed 10 years of normal life, having management jobs and all this, running around with stuff that people are doing, achieving the best positions in my companies, building my own companies and so on. And then at 28, I've started meditating again. So for 10 years, I'm constantly meditating daily for several hours a day, practicing yoga, practicing Qigong, and practicing a healing therapy for my clients that keeps me in the theta state, in the theta brainwave state, which is actually a state where you feel very calm, very peaceful, very connected, but also quite nourished, in a state that you don't need so much physical food, or sometimes you don't need food at all. So this week I've been mostly on water, been just tasting some juice over the evening, and that keeps me very, very alive and very, very light in my state. And my colleague here, Elitom El-Amin, has been also on liquids for 19 years. And now, so no need to take physical food. That's what I mean. He hasn't had the need to eat for 19 years. And now he's in a state where he's moving from the liquidarian state into a full breatharian state, not even using liquids. So that's an interesting journey. And I've been honored to bring him here and present with him during this Spiritual Scientists International meet, because as a board member of the Spiritual Pyramid Society, I've been honored to support and collaborate with this group. As I've met Patriji many times in India, in the Pyramid Valley, and participated to the Global Congress of Spiritual Scientists, and have been amazed by the marvelous evolutionary movements that this group is doing in the world, building meditation pyramids in more than 22,000 locations all over the globe, and encouraging meditation and vegetarianism, which is the new evolutionary step for humanity, until we move, of course, if ever, into breatharianism. So very, very grateful to be today with you. Very, very grateful to have Elitom with me. Elitom, are you with us? Can you hear us? And can you say hi?
Oh, yes, indeed. All right, everybody hear me? It's good to meet all of y'all. This is great.
Yeah, it's happy to be here with you. So tell us a little bit about yourself before we start having a chat together. And I asked the panelists to also let me know when I'm getting closer to finalizing this gathering, because I can move beyond time very quickly, and sometimes you lose track of that measurement. So Elitom, go ahead, tell us some stuff about yourself.
All right, I'm glad to be here. Thank you, everybody. I'm Elitom El-Amin from Ohio, USA. And I've been on the Pranic journey, or the Breatharian path, for 20 years. And there's a lot of development that takes place. So as I share my life with people, I tell people that this is a holistic lifestyle. Holistic just means wholeness, bringing everything together. So you're being nourished by so many forces, not just by the physical food with your mouth. We're being nourished by relationships. We're being nourished by the air. We're being nourished by the earth. We're being nourished by the sun. So when you become aware to this knowledge, there is different techniques where you can actually tap into these resources of energy to better your health and to make your life stronger. Now, right now I'm here in India and I'm having a lovely time as usual. And all I'm doing is resurrecting the knowledge that was already there. These are called the spiritual sciences. Yes, it's a science. I remember over 100 years ago, there was a book written by Yogananda talking about there's electricity, or the autobiography of a yogi, talking about there's electricity going up a person's spinal cord. And today that's true as ever because we have around our bodies an electromagnetic field. All physical matter does, whether if it's a dog, cat, tree, or a chair or a table. So we live in a field of energy. So once you become aware of this, we have equipment and technology now where we can actually see this electromagnetic field around everybody's body. And it constantly shifts itself with everything we think, eat, or put in our body. So as I go into this, when I came into this journey, I came into it through health purposes. So of course I came into this journey through a holistic lifestyle because there was a time I was overweight. And when there's a problem with a person's life, it's up to them to start trying to find out the solution to better their health. So of course I had to lose weight. I had to change my diet. I brought in exercise. And then I found out about meditation. On a food-free journey, meditation is the foundation. Because if you're dealing with electricity going up and down your spinal cord, you want to meditate and relax the body so that that energy channel of that electrical force can get strengthened. It can bring in more energy, what we call prana, chi in China, ki in Japan, ka in Africa. All of them, these different cultures, was talking about the life force energy that's in the atmosphere. Now, right now, we're in an age where Nikolai Tesla's name is popping up from inventions he was making back then about the life force energy that's in the atmosphere. Now, even though that's dealing with external technology, this technology comes from the spiritual sciences of the human being. Our bodies are biocomputers or a bio machine. And you got to start looking at it on that type of level as you start developing yourself. This is the best science and technology you will ever have access to. It could do some fascinating things when you start transforming it through a different type of habits, different type of lifestyle, which is a different type of a thought process. So on this breatharian journey, as I went into it, I wasn't hard on myself, but I teach people not to do that. Don't put tape on your mouth. You're going step by step, getting used to each energy flow as you're changing your atomic structure, your molecules in your body. Now, why would I say that? Yesterday, I put a post on social media saying, ice is water. Now, that's something to think about. It didn't change in the ice. We as human beings just like to play with words. It's still water, the ice is. But the behavior of the molecules change. So it's the same way when we talk about light body and stuff like this. We are just at a denser state, our bodies, our physical bodies, than as more subtle forces that's in the universe where you deal with X-rays, gamma rays. You can't see them with your physical eyes, but your body's already connected to it. So you're being nourished from so many sources dealing in this UV spectrum that all of us live in. And through meditation, you can start absorbing or allowing this energy to flow more freely through the body. Most people get sick and even die through what they're eating. That's basically a fact today. We got a thing called preventable diseases dealing with diet changes. So the Breatharian knowledge is teaching a practitioner to get into a practice or a technique where they can start allowing this life force energy, because the body's already set up to work with these forces, to come more into the body, but simultaneously start being mindful of what you're putting into your body. There's some foods that hold a higher energy quotient than others. We know that knowledge now. There's some foods that are deals with the physical body on how it looks. It also deals with clarity of thought and also deals with a person's emotions because all of them are one.
So basically, the more we clear out our thoughts and our emotions, the closer we get to that pranic state, you say.
Absolutely. Because they're all one. Sometimes a person will say to me, how do I deal with my emotions? And I'll look at their physical body, well, go get in shape. You don't deal with your health. And they think I'm talking about something else, but it is true. Our physical bodies is the gateway to the invisible forces. So the more you can start dealing with that energy flow, now listen at this, this is going to get good. Even in the sciences, they say, what? Some scientists is now saying that consciousness is fundamental. They're going into the exploration of consciousness, the power of the thought process. And there's a lot of speakers on the scene now, like Bruce Lipton, Tony Robbins, and many more. And I can name more and more, but they're talking about reprogramming the subconscious mind. The subconscious body is what's creating 90% of a person's reality. So when we get into this, on dealing with our emotions, recreating things, our body is our mind, because when you deal with holistic health, it's body-mind connection. The reason why a person got sick or you didn't feel it coming on, or there was a weak energy flow, is dealing with the thought process and the body connection. The Breatharian knowledge allows you to get into a feeling state. This is why this is the Breatharian sciences, to make that body-mind connection. So it does count on, our thoughts are so powerful, and we are creative beings, that even when you get on a certain diet and you block certain things out, you just hold certain energies from coming into you. We have that much power. Yeah. That's why one of your greatest pills out there is the nocebo. A person believed it, and it worked. So even on this program that we have, if you don't eat, you'll die. Oh, you need to eat food. Now food, that's just a word we're playing with. And it is an energy, it's just at the densest level. You have to open up to the other forces that you don't see, that you're being nourished with. Everybody is day by day. See, everybody we could say is living on prana or is a breatharian. But a breatharian who's in the practice just became more aware. They were from unconsciousness into consciousness. You're conscious on what's taking place. And there's many meditations and techniques out there that can build you up and connect you for the energy that's going through you and around you every single day, moment by moment. We got different forms of pranayama breath work. We got different forms of visualization. We got different forms of different qigongs, tai chis, yoga. All of these are designed to loosen up the energy channels, to get these energy pathways that's going through the body. That's why we move. And you can strengthen them where they can take on more prana, more life force energy. And you can actually back up from the food more and more as you keep on developing yourself. This is all it's about. It's a development, just like when we grew from a physical baby to a teenager to an adult. You have an energy body that can be developed, or like they say, develop your soul. From a weaker state to a stronger state of getting a strong immune system to where it's connected with everything. Oh, this is good.
So basically, it's all creating a better immunity. And now in this time, everybody talks about immunity, and this is the secret to it. Think well, move well, your body, take care of your emotions, detox everything, and eat healthier or not at all. And I always, encourage people to be mindful about your thoughts. That's the foundation of the creation of your lives, actually. And everybody now in the countries that have already emerged out of the quarantine, as I'm in a country that has emerged out of the quarantine, we're happy, we're traveling everywhere, we're doing our events and everything. But guess what? Everybody's thinking of the second wave. Oh, it must be a second wave. It must come a second wave. We must get ill again. Why would you think of that? Just
right.
Programmed to think of that, just because you are primed daily through the news to think of that. What if you take control of your own minds and point them in the direction of what you want to manifest. Do you want a second wave, or do you want more health? What do you want to create? How do you want
Absolutely.
your body to operate? Do you want to operate it healthy and in perfect shape, or do you want to operate in a state of worry, worried about tomorrow, worrying about what the government will do? That's not our focus. Let just learn to be focused on what you want to manifest, and there's nobody else who's gonna, take control of your mind. You have to take control of your minds. That's what we say. Otherwise, a mind that is untamed and unmastered, it cannot lead to a food-free reality. Never. You'll eat more and more out of worry.
Absolutely. And see, when I first started this journey, and when I started teaching, I used to say it was 80% mental and 20% physical. But now where I'm at, it totally changed. This is 100% mental. See, back in the Hermetic text, they said everything is mental. And I like how some of the scientists are saying everything is consciousness now. I mean, you have to go there. So these thought process, the way we think, is the key to the journey. Now, there's a thing called affirmations, and they actually work. Those are being proven now. When you're thinking on a more positive level, we all know now that a positive thought process, the energy feels differently than two people arguing or going into each other. Whole different ball game. And like she said, those lower frequencies is nothing but energy will lead you to search for things externally from you to give you comfort. So that's what it's about, dealing with the food process. So the Breatharian Journey is you're redirecting your life. One of the main things is you're learning what stress is. You're getting rid of stress, not just on a physical level, but emotional and mentally. The more the stress is removed, the more life force energy could come through the body. That's what we mean by higher vibration. I was with a good group of people today where we all understood we were nourishing each other because everybody is positive. And every time you get a negative person come in there, but they automatically shift just by being around us because the higher vibration has the power to change a lower one. So all of this that we're talking about is right on key dealing with the Pranic journey. And like I said, there's a whole lot of speakers out there now talking about the manifestation, reprogramming the subconscious body, and it's dealing with a thought process. It's no different for your health. You got to start, because these negative thoughts can make you unhealthy. This is what we're talking about. So going back into this, one of the main meditations that I had to reprogram myself, I had to tell my body to get all your nourishment, nutrients, vitamins, and everything you need from other sources. That's all I did with the new program, and let it rip. You are healthy. You feel good. And it over and over again, because the person that you talk to the most is yourself. Everybody has that inward voice in them. And that inward voice has the tendency to over highlight things, look at it, blow it out of proportion. And it sounds negative. It's sort of like a negative voice that overrides it due to how we grew up, our past life experiences, different stresses. So when you're dealing with the Breatharian knowledge, you're actually challenging the voice that's going inside you. That's why a lot of people really don't like being alone with themselves, because they have to deal with that voice.
And but there's a lot of places that this voice comes from, actually. Some people say it's only coming from the head, but actually it doesn't only come from the head. It's been proven scientifically that we actually have a brain in our gut and a brain in our heart. And the Institute of Heart Math that Pari is so familiar with, and many others, has discovered that there's neural pathways in our heart and neural pathways in our gut, which is the digestive system. And if you keep those places clear and clean and energized, your heart and your gut, you're going to have better thoughts. Because some people are wondering, well, wow, how do I master my mind? How can I stop my negativity from playing out in the background? Take care of your body. Take care of your energy. Master the way energize your heart and clear and energize your gut system. Two important simple keys to more energy and better thoughts.
I'm glad you said that. You hit it right on the head. I was just talking to two groups today and I was going over that. Now listen at this. The brain is the organ in the body that uses the most energy. It's an instrument that takes a lot of energy to use, but it does not store energy. So what you're saying that those thoughts, this is just an instrument. It's putting things out, but the storage is coming in the body. So those past traumas, those past stress, those thoughts is actually being activated from the body. Like she's saying, the gut, the heart, it's holding all of that energy of those thoughts. So you want to start going in through, because meditation is a detox. See, on one level, we're talking about physical food. One level, we're talking about no food or fasting, to purify yourself. But we're also talking about these thought processes again. You're going in with these affirmations, reprogramming the subconscious. Now look at that word subconscious. It got sub on the beginning of it. That means it's below something. Well, what's below your brain? The body. It's the place that stores energy, stores trauma, stores memory. Oh man, this gets good. So the more you start purging that out, it starts bettering the thoughts that's coming up to the brain. This is where it's at. Because some people, they can't see it right now. Wait a minute, I'm hungry. Wait a minute, that chocolate cake keep popping up. Where did that chocolate cake come from? It went so much in the gut, it stored itself in the body. So we have to do a whole revolution, because that's why the spiritual sciences, all religions did talk about a state of purity, a state of cleaning yourself out. And as I travel around the world, all of them got what? Certain celebrations where they have fasting days, backing up from the table. These are remnants of the sciences that passed over. But now we're in an age of information, what we're clear, that these are actually sciences for our relationship to nature, our relationship to the cosmos themselves. We can say that because the sun is affecting us. Every time the sun comes out, a hormone of serotonin lets loose in the pineal gland that goes through the blood. When the moon comes out or nighttime, the melatonin comes out, the same gland, the pineal gland, going into a blood doing a whole nother function. So that shows you right there, we're so connected to the matrix, we're being affected by it if you are aware of the knowledge or not. So when you come on this journey, you're getting used to these set times and cycles on when to do something, when not to do something, to allow your body to function with the bigger picture. And then that's where you start being nourished by it. Now you're going to go through a healing state first, a healing crisis. If you've been eating all your life with no let up, and I don't care if you're saying it was a healthy diet or not, you need some healing because the body was constantly in a state of taking on that stress, relieving it, taking on that stress, relieving it. So that program is in there. And I like how the one scientist said, the way to reprogram the subconscious is through repetition. You have to come into a new repetition by allowing the body to back up from the table, allowing the body to relax, get these forces coming into it through meditation to get the electricity running. Because the body by its nature always seeks to be healthy. It always seeks to go back to its source, its nature, to heal itself. Even when you wake up in the morning, the first thing you do is what? Use the bathroom to get rid of toxicity. You're already detoxed. And then a person start, if you're eating every day, hunkering up mucus. You got to take that spit. That's mucus going all through the body, and your body produces that through eating. Now, the more mucus you got in your body, that's why you feel thirsty. That's why a person can't see on letting up the liquid part. They can see the food, but wait a minute, we need water, they say. I know people don't even drink water all over the place. They'd rather drink Coca-Cola. They still walking around living. That's amazing.
That's a good point, Elitom. That's super good point. And also, you've come to a great point here, because if we look at the yogic tradition that most people are watching now are coming from India, if we look at that, they give us all the tools to go on a pranic path. They gave us the nose clearing with salt water. to do every morning before yoga. That was for clearing the mucus, but not only it clears the mucus, it clears all the chakras all the way down to your root. If you do it daily, and I do it every time, especially after healing sessions to purify my whole field, that would clear out a lot of stuff in your body, but in your energy field as well. The other thing was Shamprakshalana, the technique where you swallow a lot of salt water until it goes out on the other side and purifies the whole digestive system. Now, you don't only have to do it with salt water, you can do it with sour cabbage juice or sauerkraut juice. You don't have to drink as much. Just with sauerkraut, you drink a few cups, you'll go to the bathroom, empty your whole bowel system, and that clears out the clutter, the toxins, the mucus, and adds vitamins like vitamin B, vitamin C, lots of vitamins just by drinking that and clearing and detoxing your system. You could go a few days on that and see after that if you still have those cravings and those tendencies to fast food. That's one thing. Then the breath work, which purifies. If you do pranayama, if you do Bhastrika, the accelerated breath work, pranayama, it clears out the whole system, including the mental body, including the digestive, including your neck and throat and lungs, all of that. It purifies this with the force of air. Then they gave us the sun gazing. This is actually my morning routine that I'm describing now. You know, I do all this. So then it gives us the sun gazing. When you go out, after you've purified your vessel, your body, you go out and look at the sun and clear out and energize your pineal gland, your eyes, your digestive system, your emotional and mental body. See if the emotions that are bad can stick with you after you've done daily at least 10 minutes of sun gazing in the morning. It will change the whole game for you. So these basic morning routine that I've just described with 4 steps, you know, clearing your nose, clearing your digestive system with some water and salt or sauerkraut juice, doing some pranayama and doing some sun gazing, 4 things. It doesn't take more than half an hour. It will change your whole game. That's so simple. And I know, Elitom, you've practiced some of that too.
Oh, that's my whole lifestyle. Because it does take work. See, the body does require a lot of energy. So we got a thing now in today's society where we deal with obesity. And that's just saying that we want energy so much that it's easier to get the denser energies because you can see it. So people are overeating. But once you understand that you can get these other forces, you'll start hungering for these other forces. So this does become your whole lifestyle. So of course, I spend a lot of time outside, under the sun, in nature. It's second habit now because I know I'm being nourished by the external forces because it requires a lot of energy. Now you hit it right on the head when you brought up the format of yoga and stuff like this. I remember a few years ago, I was in Punjab, if I said that right, and at an ashram, and dealing with the Kriya yoga. Food freedom was at the 3rd level out of 7 levels. Now listen at that. Now yoga is popular all over the planet, but that's at the 3rd level because what they're saying is, this is how they write it. Your hunger and your thirst will decrease. Now, of course, at the 3rd level it'll decrease because the body became more flexible, more purified. That's what they're talking about. So just by doing that, your hunger and thirst will decrease at the 3rd level. We ain't even get into the other levels yet. This is like the gateway. That's why they call it a minor city power. It's not a big one. But right now, when you first heard about food freedom, it'll blow you out the water because we are living in this culture of everybody's eating 3 meals a day. This is what you're supposed to do. So of course, it's a shock at first. But the more and more you hear it and the more you start practicing this for yourself, this is why they call it self-realization. Everything she was talking about, these different techniques, actually work. But there's a good thing I'm glad you brought up. When you brought up the different techniques about taking certain things, you'll get certain things from it. Now, when I teach the food freedom path, I do not teach about putting tape on your mouth and just sitting there waiting for something to happen. I actually talk about...
That would be interesting. It happens
Right.
sometime, but I don't like it.
Right. I actually teach people to eat them way in the food freedom. See, it takes knowledge. You're learning something. You're learning, because there is a saying that let your food be your medicine and your medicine to be your food. We've been eating all out of our lives, but if you've been eating the wrong foods, a lot of things in your body became dormant, so it's not working properly. It's not making what it needs. So when you get back on this path, you start lighting up the foods, or you start getting the knowledge of what would give you what would clean out what would activate what. That does help on a journey to get your body back sensitive to start making the things it's naturally supposed to do. Once you start doing that, then it'll start functioning on a higher level than it does before, because the vibration of the body actually raised. Just like we said earlier, ice is water. It's just that the behavior of the molecules are going a lot faster. So just by you changing your diet, that will speed up the whole molecules, your molecular structure. It really, that's why you always change the way you look. You ever see somebody, you can stop eating salt. You can eat anything you want, but stop eating salt for 1 week, take a before and after picture, you will see it show up on your physical body. You could do it for a week dealing with sugar. Watch the change. Your body is so adaptable with change. It changes on every little thing we let loose. So that's why when we talk about fasting, there's many different forms of fasting. It ain't all the way out or doing nothing all the time like that. I seen a man one time, I ain't see him in 3 days. And then when I saw him, I said, boy, you changed. You look good. What did you do? You been working out? He said, no, I just stopped drinking Coca-Cola. That's what he said. One thing out of his diet changed the way he looked. So that's how sensitive our body is. You could tell what a person's practicing just by the way their body look, by the way the skin is, their eyes is. It picked up the frequency. But when you start letting loose these little things, little by little, we ain't saying let go of everything. Little by little, watch these changes take place and let your body allow it to get used to these new changes. Now, the more a person abuses themselves, it seems like the quicker the changes will take place when they stop doing it. Do that make sense? You'll see a quicker change take place.
It totally makes sense, because self-love, it's actually a total different vibration than self-abuse. It's actually the opposite vibration of self-abuse. And
Right.
self-abuse doesn't mean beating yourself up, asking somebody to do it. It just means choose the wrong food, choose the wrong environment, choose the wrong clothing, and choose the wrong partner. That's self-abuse already. And
Exactly.
It's a lack of self-love. When we get back to self-love, we can no longer choose that. What helps get back to self-love? Meditation and tuning into the energy of love that is available, universal love is available all the time.
And just what you said, by using those examples, by the relationships, this and that is nourishment. See, that's where it gets deep. It's hard for a person to see. You mean you could get fed by people? Absolutely. There's people be in my energy field all the time and they don't even feel like eating, just by being in the field. Who you hang around, all this other stuff. There's some people could pull energy from you. It'll make you, we don't want to use that word hungry, but you feel like you need some type of comfort, something to fulfill that because you didn't know what happened. Some people, we call them energy vampires or this or that, or grabbing your energy, they're attracted to you. That's what start happening. Everything, like Nikolai Tesla said, the 3 things you need to start learning is how to work with frequency, vibration, and energy. That's it. Those are the ball games in the universe. And they try to describe, we play around with these different words like breatharian, living on prana, living on chi. Those are just words, life force energy. But you need to learn about these forces that's creating everybody's life. Everybody's dealing with it. And start getting used to the forces of energy that's going through your body. Start feeling it. Start putting your hands together and feeling that energy between your hands. Play with it. And then start feeling the energy that's around you all the time. Everywhere you go, you lived in it all your life. And this is available, free energy that you can tap into through these different methods that Christiana was talking about earlier. This is awesome.
Yeah. We just give some techniques like that all the time because, I've been sharing the Pranic process online a class or a teaching on how to get lighter and how to be more on prana for 7 years now. And I've been talking about philosophical things and meditation and this and that, but people actually want and need hands-on techniques. Like,
Yeah,
okay, how do I do this? And I've been fighting with my partner. What do I do now? Or I started binging because my mother is ill and I'm worried. What do I do now? I mean, classical, simple, hands-on techniques that have been taught by all the masters and the yogis and the qigong masters in China and so on for ages are available now, nicely improved for a modern day-to-day fast-paced life, and you know, ready for you to practice. But somebody has to practice them. I mean, it's
right.
your life is not going to change. Your life is not going to change without the practice. It's impossible. If you don't want to go into
Absolutely.
vegetarianism and meditation, at least the two basic steps to a spiritual life, there's no going from there. I mean, if you want to do the same things and have different results, that's impossible. You have to do different things to have different results in your life.
Absolutely. That's why we got that word called holistic practitioner. I don't mean that somebody got the piece of paper to say they went to a holistic practitioner school. It's a person who practices a holistic lifestyle. There is a thing called practice what you preach, and it will show. Now, I like how you said that about the hands-on, taking people through that now. So we could talk the philosophy all we want. I was just with some group here in India, and I had the translator. Okay, we was really out there. I had the translator. So they're sitting there, they're enjoying it at the same time, but they heard so many philosophies so much, we could talk all day long. But as soon as I start working with the energy with the people, I start letting them feel their energy, that brought forth the fascination. Even the language barrier was gone. I didn't even need the translator no more.
Yeah,
That's what it's about. And people
It
felt
happens.
their own energy, and it made them realize what I'm talking about. They can do it too. It's no longer for the guru up in the mountain somewhere. This energy, this free energy, where we're living at, is everywhere. It's abundant. It's high. All we're doing is opening up our bodies to recognize it, opening up our minds to recognize it. You can tap into it anywhere. Like right now, I'm in a busy city of Mumbai here in India. Now, one level of person say, I need to go to the Himalayas to do that. No, I'm being nourished right now because I know it's everywhere. If there's a tree that could be in the middle of the city with all this traffic and it's still practicing photosynthesis, why can't you? That's a mindset. Now, nobody's arguing that there's some environments that are more nutritious than others. Okay, there is. There's some places you could go, it brings another type of energy to you. So that's why every day we do go to the Arabian Sea, and we got this good hangout taking place. We're up there, and in our mind, we're feeding. We're being nourished.
Yeah. But as you said, and because we're in a science conference now, there are scientists that have actually proven that prana is everywhere. They just call it the Planck field or the vacuum field. And, you know, like Nassim Haramein or Marshall Leffers, who was in the conference or is going to be in the conference soon, they have proven, you know, that everything is filled and nourished and linked and connected by this energy that we call prana and or chi or mana, and they call the Planck field or the vacuum field, and it's the same thing. And it's proven in mathematical and physics formula that it's actually binding everything together and nourishing everything. And you can connect, you can tap into any point of this field and get the information from all the field. And that's called meditation.
Absolutely.
So now it's such a beautiful blending between the spiritual terminology and the scientific terminology. And I truly believe that spirituality is the science that is unproven yet. Very easy.
Absolutely. And see, and what we're dealing with in this age, even when these scientists come out and, you know, proving all this stuff, they're proving stuff that was already said about, again, from the spiritual sciences. See, most things that's created comes from the study of the human being. They made the camera off of how your eye look. They look at something upside down and then your brain flips it and all this other stuff. Sound. They learned that off your voice box, on how it vibrates and come off from an instrument. A car engine, they got that off of your digestive system. You put the gas in one place and then the gas put out at the other end. All serious, it's the makeup of the human being.
Yes. Yes, and the more we upgrade our bodies and teach them new ways of harnessing the energy, like for example, the pranic nourishment, and the more we study how they actually do that, and we're aiming to do that with a group of scientists at some point, the more we study that, the more we understand that, and the more we display that, the higher technological devices we're going to have, because they all replicate our bodies and our level of consciousness. So we're not going to be able to tap into a higher technology until our body will become that higher technology. I mean, it's a frequency match, everything, external and internal.
Absolutely. And keep in mind what we were saying earlier, the body is your mind. It made it stronger. It's all one. We ain't breaking it up in pieces no more. So even when the speakers are talking about, the motivational speakers are talking about manifesting stuff, create your reality. You actually start thinking about it and it appears. Things will be there. Everything falls in line. So that's why you want to get into that new positive way of thinking, that everything goes your way. This is what's supposed to happen. It's a whole new paradigm shift on creating your personal space of being, how should we use that word? Heavenly.
Yeah.
Things being proper, things being balanced. That's a thought process. But once you balance out the science of the physical body, it strengthens your creation. Oh man, this gets good.
And the heaven on earth that people are talking about is not actually a place, that's meant to be up in the sky and descended on earth. It's your inner state of, the more you work on that, the more heaven you experience. And before we complete, because we have 4 more minutes, I believe, I want to ask if people on YouTube have any questions, and I'll just gonna read them out if there are any. And also gonna say that Elitom El-Amin is participating live. We're both participating live to the Pranic Festival in Romania in August 15 to 19. So you can see more of us there. Oh, we're having 15 more minutes. Great. We're gonna both be there and have conferences there. And also in Pranic Festival in India, right in Pyramid Valley, in March 3rd to 8th of 2021. Of course, Elitom, you're invited, and I'm sure you're going to be there. And we've been there this March. We've been there this March, right at the beginning of the quarantine time. We were having fun at the Pyramid Valley with the Pranic Festival discussing pranic nourishment. So these are wonderful options where you can actually meet us live, and you find it all on our website, soulhealingacademy.com/events at the events section. But let's see if people have any questions, right? And if you feel to add anything, just, feel free to add whatever you feel until I, okay. It's best to watch on YouTube, I believe, and ask the questions there. It's easier. I'm answering to somebody on YouTube. So even from the panelists working and watching here, if you have any questions for us, I'd be happy to, both of us reply, because it's so beautiful to have this conference interactive and see what people are actually wanting to hear or tap into. And it's been great to work with Elitom for so many years, because traveling together, we've actually had we're longtime friends, and Elitom is also having an ascetic life, practicing Brahmacharya, which is the practice of, preserving the energy, not having any partners. So if you want, tell us something about that as well, because so many people are now in the compulsion of, I need a partner, I need a certain sexual life, I need a certain rhythm. Population is getting crazy over that. I've been practicing Brahmacharya too, so let's hear a little bit about that in terms of energy preservation.
Oh, this is awesome. Now, again, our bodies do produce what we call sexual fluid. Now, there's many ways I could come into this, but I'm going to do just a quick surface. And that fluid does produce a lot of energy. It's very potent. Now, of course, they use that word Kundalini energy and all these other names, sexual cultivation, but we're just going straight into the fluid now on when you really start preserving that fluid that your body's making. Now, your body, when it produces these fluids, it's going to use the best cells in the body in order to produce the fluid, because in its mind, it could produce a baby, another human being. So no matter what a person's lifestyle is, it's going to use the best cells of that organism. So that fluid is very potent on what it can do and what a person creates. So instead of spinning the fluid, because there's a word called horny, and that's just a word that means hormones. That's when a person's hormones coming into effect, and energy loves to move. But now when you're on this path, they got a thing called Brahmacharya, which means the ultimate path. It's a path that some chooses. But even when you deal with the Brahmacharya path, there's 4 different levels of that. I was just teaching that today to a group. There's even a householder phase. So it doesn't mean that not having sex at all and stuff like that as you're going through your life. The last level is the renunciation. Oh, this is good. As a person's going through their life. But it does teach you to be mindful on how you use the sexual energy, because it can what? Make you have a better life, or it could destroy it. Basically, on using this energy is very powerful. But going into nourishing you, that fluid will actually reabsorb itself back into your blood. And when it does that, it's going to what? Nourish the different organs. That's why it's called an orgasm. In other words, for a baby to grow a heart, to grow a lung, it got the information of a heart and a lung already in it. So it's going back to where it came, but it's coming at a different process of when it first started, so it's a lot stronger. But last but not least, when it's going back into your blood circulation and your lymph and all of this with the fluids, it's going back up to the brain on where it was made. The sexual fluids wasn't made into the gonads, the ovaries, and the testicles. It actually started with the chemicals coming from the brain. So when it goes back up to a brain, it's different than when it first started. So that's a nourishment for the brain. So you actually could get food freedom by getting a knowledge of sexual cultivation. It starts strengthening your aura. It starts strengthening your electromagnetic field. The magnetism coming off you, because it's going back into the blood, your body keeps producing it, and it start going back up, nourishing the brain from where it came. And then you got the vagus nerve to come down from the brain, going to the different organs. Now, vagus nerve means wanderer. It's the longest cranial nerve to go through the body. So that fluid gets picked up in there, is going back to the other organs, and it's nourishing you. So on one level, we talk about breatharianism. Some people say, you're being nourished by the air. That's unbelievable. It's more than the air. You are basically a package of chemicals. The electrical field is activating the chemicals that your body produces. And those chemicals, you are being fed by substances within your body. For instance, earlier we talked about the serotonin and the melatonin coming from the pineal gland. That happens, and it got nothing to do with what you eat or don't eat. It happens from the external energy forces that's activating the body. So even when your sexual fluids are being made, which most people do make all over the planet, even animals, you got the knowledge now to use that to start replenishing yourself, start renourishing yourself, and all this other good stuff. And of course, it affects you emotionally, mentally, because we know how relationships could be on that level. You're freed up from that. So this is a whole nother level.
Yeah, and somebody here is asking about detoxification, and I'm going to refer to that because it's so necessary, because so much of the toxicity and food dependency comes from codependency in relationships. You broke up with your partner, you start grabbing the ice cream from the fridge. It's the education that we get from the movies and from the family and from all that. You want some comfort stuff, you grab a slice of pizza, you know, to celebrate with friends. Or if you had you've been deceived in your relationship, you have to binge on food. So this is so much interconnected, relationships and food, that when we become free from the concept of relationship, we're not saying to become a monk, but to not be in a codependent relationship with your partner, to be free and let him be free in your relationship. I mean, you can have a partner, just you don't depend on that for happiness or pleasure. because in happiness you have it inside, and pleasure you can either, you know, get it from inside, or there's the pleasure of harnessing energy, of circulating energy, of moving your fluids and your chi around your body. And that gives a lot of, you know, internal orgasmic states without depending on another person to bring them to you. And that cuts a lot of cords at the relationship level and helps you be autonomous. And you can still enjoy having a partner if you want to, but that, you know, cuts off also a lot of dependency of the food that you're using for your emotional comfort. So you see how deep these are connected. And speaking about detox, as somebody was asking, in the Pranic process online that we're doing every month now, and we're starting one right on July 20th, we're sharing methods of detox that are very, very simple. Some of them I've shared a little bit earlier when I described my morning routine, you know, when clearing your nose, clearing your digestive system with salt water, or in the case of digestive system, you can use sauerkraut juice. And also we're giving lots of detox juices or detox herbs that you can actually utilize at the beginning of a pranic process to cleanse your whole system. There are herbs that cleanse not only your organs like liver, kidneys, colon, and so on. They're actually clearing your mindset because they're so interconnected. Your digestive system and your mind are very close interconnected. They're making your eyes better. So in Ayurvedic medicine, this has been known for thousands of years. We're giving herbs and fruit combinations that can actually restore your liver or kidney function, you know, before starting going on prana. Because if you're ill and you try to go, you know, dry fasting, you might have some issues, or if you start to go fasting, you might have some serious craving problems and mood swings that will generate more suffering in your life if you don't purify in advance. Also, colonics are amazing for detoxing. Recommend them at the beginning of a detox process. I recommend at least once a week to be done a colonics, you know, followed or in parallel with probiotics that will restore the gut bacteria. These are very, very simple methods, and we share more on this with referring to detox at the emotional level, what to do with the emotions and how to clear them out and transmute them and alchemize them in each one of our organs. Like liver has specific emotions, kidneys have specific emotions, heart has other type of emotions that are stored inside, that are, you know, described very well in the Chinese medicine, and we can actually detox them out by simple practices. We describe all that, and how to detox at the mental level. Be careful what you allow in, like the news you're watching, the information that you give credit to, the people that you are approving or listening to, and what you're putting in and what you're sending out. Like, what are you talking about all day? The gossip, the bad news discussion, the vaccine, the, you know, conspiracy theories, all these things that is circulating now. Are you binge eating on them, or are you clearing your mind and focusing it on what you want to manifest? Like I was referring earlier to the second wave. There's no second wave if you don't focus on it all the time. Everything is, you know, orchestrated, and you can de-orchestrate at a blink of an eye if you focus on the right things, you know, and create a new reality. That's very simple. So should you want to know more on that, just check our events page on soulhealingacademy.com and join our process. And a lot of detox is done there at a physical, emotional level and the mental level. And also Elitom El-Amin's website, which is, I believe, elitomelamin.com, right?
.org.
.org. Oh. Okay. Missed the letter. .org, where he's describing and having a lot of process too, and he has also 2 books or 3 books, I believe. One is Human Photosynthesis. Human 101. Tell us about your books. Maybe you know better. 101.
Oh wow!
Exactly.
The first one is "It's Okay to Be Healthy," And that's like a preliminary just to let a person know that they can pull this off. This can happen. The second one is Human Photosynthesis 101. And that goes a little deeper, but it's also talking more about the spiritual sciences, how this information was already here. And then I got another good one that's on Amazon and stuff like that, Breatharian Nuggets. And that's a whole lot of quotes of the day and stuff like this to carry you through with breatharian wisdom. It's really effective. I get a lot of feedback off of that because it's talking about my own life experiences on different words that will carry you through how you feel and how to change your way of thinking, because that's what it's about. You're changing your way of thinking on a pranic journey. And when you change your way of thinking, it's going to change your life. So that's what the Breatharian Nuggets deal with on that type of level. You're eating something, you're eating food. Like the scripture said, man shall not live off of bread alone, but every word that come out of the mouth of the higher force. So in other words, you need that repetition to come at you in order to change. That's how we work. So this is good once again.
Stay consistent on your path. That's our message. And it has to be a spiritual path. And somebody here is asking, and that's the last thing because it's the final minute. Somebody here is asking, between sunlight, breath, and liquids, which is best? I'm asking, why do you have to choose between them? Sunlight is always available. Breath is something you do to maintain your life. And liquids, you know, you still need them while you have kidneys and you're not fully in breatharian state. So I wouldn't say to choose between them. I would say integrate them all because they're part of you being alive. What do you think, Elitom?
Oh, that's it. That's why we call it a holistic lifestyle. Everything you do is energetic and is important. Yes, everybody's in the sunlight. Yes, everybody's drinking. Yes, everybody's breathing. But the Breatharian Journey makes you aware of the energy consumption that you're using. See, you can even drink too much water and hurt yourself. Let's say that now. You can drink too much water and hurt yourself. You could be out into the sun too much and hurt yourself. We got to say this. It's how you use these energies. That's what makes the difference.
That's so much wisdom. Thank you so much, Elitom, for being with us. Thank you